Hi, well let me show you a rather interesting novel approach for cutting out leather filigree. So perhaps you might want to do this for some filigree work where you cut out a shape in the leather and then you back it with a different coloured leather and put stitching around to get a rather interesting decorative effect. And credit for this, I saw it being used by some boot makers, Texas Traditions Boots, who are on Instagram and produce the most incredible Western boots. Very impressive. Anyway, I'll show you. Basically, I've specially adapted this needle and it's in a standard Singer sewing machine with a roller foot. And there you have it, a perfect leather cutout. And you can obviously get incredibly fine, intricate detail, especially with a bit more practice. I'm at the moment 2 feet away from my machine, so it's quite hard with a camera, but I've been quite surprised what you can do with this technique. What I thought I'd do in this film is show you how I prepare that needle, because it's a specially prepared needle, because you couldn't do this with an ordinary sewing machine needle, even with a very fine stitch length, it just wouldn't cut. Right, I've taken the needle out of the machine. And I just thought I'd show you the needle that the machine usually takes, which is this one, and the machine needle that I've been using. Now, two obvious things here. One is this specially adapted needle is a lot shorter, and the other thing is it's a lot fatter. So let's put the usual one away. What I've done here is basically cut a big needle down in length and then sharpened it. Now, in terms of length, what I did, I put it in the machine as it would normally sit as a needle, and I marked where it went just below this hole here, and I cut it so that about 2 millimeters of needle goes into that hole, no deeper, because the danger is you're going to foul up your hook and your timing mechanism and cause some nasty damage. So I actually also took this plate off just to double check that I wasn't fouling anything, and I'd recommend strongly that you do the same, otherwise you could damage your machine. So what I've done, I've made it very much like a knife. I have given it a thick back, but I've ground off the sides, each side, and then it comes to a very slim knife point on the front cutting edge, and a nice point as well, so it pierces the leather. And I've done this by, you could grind it, but I didn't want to overheat the needle, so I basically use oil stones, diamond stones, and a leather strop. And actually just exactly the same as the last film I popped up showing you how I sharpen knives, and have, you know, sharpened a couple of new leather knives using my oil stone and strops. And if you're patient, you can get a very, very sharp edge here. So the last about 5 millimeters is a sharp edge. Obviously this offers quite a bit of scope for some fun and decoration here, as you could draw up shapes and you can put different coloured leathers behind them. You can make them pop a bit by padding them behind, and also you can obviously raise stitching, so you can have stitching around, say, the outside, and then you can do the stitching in the ditch, as they call it, the stitching on the inside, to get various effects and to make the item really stand out. So great fun if you're thinking perhaps of putting a few leaves or flowers or something on a bag. I'll just show you the machines. I've made a couple of little adaptations to this machine. So this is the machine that I've been using, the Singer 331K. This was a K4. I've adapted it with a roller foot, and I've shown that in an earlier film. This is the little motor I've popped on the machine, and it's a standard sewing machine motor for more of a domestic machine. And I've just done that because you need a lot of speed to get the cutting head to work. I've been using this machine as a manual machine, so I normally have this little hand crank on the machine and I work it by hand. But I wanted obviously high speed, So that's why I'm using this motor. I am actually going to be putting this machine into one of my workbench tops now and popping a servo motor on, but that will happen at some point. Well, I feel that offers all sorts of potential for leather applique work, and there'll be more to come. So please subscribe and you can follow my adventures with cutting out leather shapes. See you in the next film. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.